Hello everyone, welcome to the Via Stoica Podcast. This is the Stoic Quotes edition, translations, and we will look at what the quote means and how we can put it into practice. Today we're going to look at a quote from Epictetus, from this lovely book that I'm using. You can see it's a little bit withered. If you're looking at me on YouTube, you can see that it's a little bit withered the way it's been traveling with me for the last couple of years. And as you can see, I think that, going in and out of bags, it is not always good for books, but it's also a little bit relevant to what the quote is today, because it definitely shows you what kind of book it is, and it's a very sturdy and good book. And from that, we'll dive directly into the quote itself. It comes from book 1, chapter 20. The topic of the chapter is how should we struggle against difficulties? At least that's what this book has as title. And the quote goes as follows: difficulties are the things that show what men are. Nice and brief, right? I like it when it's just a small sentence. It's good to remember. It's easy to keep with you in your bag of inspiration, or when you are going through difficult times, to keep these little mantras, if you will, with you. And that's why, for example, Arian wrote the handbook, right? The Enchiridion, just a little book of notes on notes of his studies, to help him when, just as a reminder during the day. And you can do the same if you want to collect and write these little quotes somewhere that's easy, accessible for you to remind yourself, to use as a crutch when you need them. Please go ahead, do so. You can check out viastoica.com. We have all the quotes. We have over 200 quotes from Epictetus, hundreds of quotes from Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. So check those out. Pick your favorites, the ones that really speak to you, and have them somewhere close for you to be easy, accessible for you to use when you need them. But we'll dive a little bit more into this quote. We have a couple of other translations here. And one of the translations goes, "The true man is revealed in difficult times." Another one I like as well: "A person's caliber is revealed by difficult circumstances." So one thing that really comes back here is the difficult circumstances. And Epictetus goes a little bit further to illustrate that. He talks about wrestling master, trying to train someone for the Olympics and put them in the ring with high caliber testing, right? Match with a rough young man. If you're practicing, you don't want to be testing and practicing yourself with too easy opponents. You have to train, right? And this is the thing that Stoics talk about. We have the theory. We want to learn. We want to understand what's happening and how we need to interpret all these things. What we need to have, like the ethics, the physics, the logic, right? The virtue is the only good, living in accordance with nature. All of those things we have to understand, right? The dichotomy of control, negative visualization. We have all of these practices that we can use and put in our tool belt, but we have to put them into the test. And that's really what's going on here in this quote, where Epictetus says, in the difficult times, when things get rough, when we really need those tools, that's where we can see who we truly are. Seneca has a similar quote, and it's interesting to see Seneca was just a little bit before Epictetus. They overlapped, I think, a little bit at the end of Seneca's life. They did, because Epictetus' own Epaphroditus was high up next to Nero, and Seneca was Nero's senior advisor. So they may have even met, the two, unbeknownst to each other, that the one would become a famous Stoic teacher. But Seneca said you are unfortunate if you've never been unfortunate. You haven't had a chance to show yourself and the world what you're capable of. And this really coincides with this one, where it says that if you are going through difficult times, see that as a test. And the great thing about that is that it changes your mindset to what is happening. If you can turn that around, instead of looking at yourself as a victim, thinking, oh, why is this happening to me? Look, poor old me. I didn't deserve these things, right? But fate doesn't care. This is what Seneca says throughout his letter. Lady Fortune doesn't care about you. She doesn't take these things personally on you. No, these things happen. This is fate. The world happens around us. It's up to us how we deal with it. That's really how we see what we are made of and who we are as character, and also where we've got to still make progress, where we've got to learn. Remember, we don't have to have this right at once all the time. We can learn. We need to progress. We need to use all of these moments to make sure that we become better people. And that mindset shift can really help us in those difficult moments. Yes, it isn't easy to say when we are facing difficulties that we say, oh yes, this is a test, I'm going to welcome it. And yet, though, the Stoics would do exactly that. They would say, yes, this is my moment to see who I am, how far I have become with my studies, how well advanced I am with putting this stuff into practice. And that's really where it counts. And that's what we've got to make sure that we do as well. We don't have to seek out these difficulties. They will come. right? And even in the good times, like, and this is something that isn't really mentioned a lot here, but even when we are having a good time, when we are winning, when we are at the top of the hill, that's also when we have got to keep ourselves in check and say, am I using the virtues? Am I living temperate? Am I living according to justice? And that's when we've got to also keep in mind, Marcus Aurelius said, even in a palace, you can live well, meaning that's even more difficult there, because you have all these desires, all these things, temptations right thrown at you. And then you've got to stay true to who you are. So not just in the difficult times, but even in the very good times, we have to make sure that we are sticking true to our beliefs. And those are the tests. And maybe the very good times are the difficult times, because they challenge our character to the utmost. But again, remember, when you're going through difficult times, and we all will at one point in our lives go through something difficult. For us, might not seem difficult for someone else right from the outset, but we can go to something difficult. Remember, you can always find support. Hey, you can always book a free consultation with us at viastoica.com, have a chat, see where we can help you. We can guide you maybe to some good practices. But at the end of the day, these moments will tell us who we are. And I think that is super valuable. The Stoics really embrace those moments and they welcome them. That's why death is the ultimate test. We can see from Socrates when he's on his deathbed and he's talking to his friends and he really wants to examine the moment. Seneca tries to do the same. But that's what we are training ourselves for. Michel de Montaigne says to philosophize is to learn how to die, the ultimate test. And how more peaceful we can die with virtue, the better our life would have been. And we can end it in a good tone. Anyway, this quote for me is a really good one. It reminds me when I go into difficult times to say, this is now showing me or helping me see how far I've become in these trainings and this philosophy, and where I need to advance again even more. So difficulties are the things that show what men are, what people are. A person's caliber is revealed by difficult circumstances. Again, this isn't just for men. It's just how they write back in the day. This is for men and women. This is for everyone. These moments will show you who you are, and you can still act well in those moments. That's the main point of it. Even if it is difficult, even if you are ill, even if you're going through some really hard times, you can still be a good person. That is really what the Stoics and Stoic philosophy tries to tell us. Whatever happens, you can still apply reason and logic, still live according to virtue and your nature, and that's what we've got to try to do. So for now, I really want to thank you for listening here. If you do like it, leave a like and a thumbs up, subscribe as well, share it with other people if you think that they can do something with this, if you think it's valuable for them. And yeah, thank you for all the support. You can subscribe for the newsletter on our website. Every month we send out a newsletter called The Pause. But for now, thank you very much, and hope to see you in the next one.